Our afternoon out takes us to the Waterloo for Crown Green bowling.
It is without question the most prestigious event in Crown Green bowling. Indeed, it often seems as though the cut and thrust of a whole season is distilled and concentrated in the Waterloo finals. As usual, every seat and space is occupied for this distinctly northern event. Nearly 3,000 people packed around the green, and believe me, they could fill it 2 or 3 times over if there was the space. But if there is congestion round the green, and there certainly is, there's also congestion, of course, amongst the players, because play began, several months ago, from an initial entry list of 2,048. Such is the pulling power of the Waterloo. And this year there was even a man from Scotland. He did quite well. He got as far as the 5th round, and he only entered because he'd seen the event on television. That's the kind of enthusiasm that the Waterloo generates. This, in fact, is the 75th year of the Waterloo. And how's this for a little piece of history? This photograph, a fine figure of a man. This is Jas Rothwell, who won the Waterloo in 1907, the first time the event was ever held. His son, John Rothwell, won the Waterloo in 1914, and they remain the only father and son partnership ever to have both won the event. Mr. Rothwell Jr., by the way, died in November last year, and he was 94. Well, of course, it's a game for all types, all sports, all ages, and it's by no means only an old man's game. Look at this, through to the quarter-finals of the Waterloo this year. Ian Rigby, only 21 years old, a farmer from Tarleton near Lancashire, a successful quarter-finalist. We'll be seeing him more this afternoon. No relation, by the way, to Harry Rigby, our commentator. And in complete contrast, 60 years old, 81 years old, Ricky Escombe, a retired farmer. He lives at Lytham St Anne's, the oldest man ever to appear in the final stages of the Waterloo. But unhappily, despite his 81 years and his experience in the game, Mr. Escombe was defeated in his quarter-final, losing to Barry Henstead by 21 points to 17, as you can see there. The results of the other quarter-finals, Stan Frith, who's now the favourite to win this year, he was successful, beating Collinge 21-15. Ian Rigby, the young man, also successful, 21-11 victor over Bruce Conway. And then the remaining quarter-final, Barry Collinge successful, 21-16 over Keith Illingworth. Well, there are very few people who know the Waterloo Green here at Blackpool quite so well as the gentleman I have with me. Arthur, 3 times victor. Arthur Murray, twice victor in the Waterloo. One of only 3 men to ever achieve that. We've talked about the challenge of the Waterloo, the charm of the Waterloo, the drawing power of the Waterloo. What does it mean for the players?
Everything that is connected with Crown Green bowling, Richard. All bowlers, all they talk about all the year round is the Waterloo final day. You know, they would give the left arm to get into the final day. Not to win it, even to get into the final day.
It started many months ago, and I believe they're already queuing to get in next year's Waterloo as well.
True.
I mean, are some people really disappointed about not getting in?
Well, they are in a way, but of course over the last 2 years they've opened the entries up to 2,048, so it's not been a problem. We understand next year it's going to be left open and any number can enter, probably up to 5,000, you know, reach the magic figure of 5,000.
So how do the very top players, the men like yourself, react to playing in what is a very, very open sweep against all sorts of people with, let's say it, a lot more enthusiasm than skill?
Well, we love it. We love it, you know, there's bowlers still coming here. Even today, on the final day today, we've got one chap, 81 years of age. You know, and hopefully he'll be coming next year, and I'm sure enjoying it just as much.
Is it that great pride? I've been a Waterloo champion.
Oh yes, great.
Smashing. Thanks, Arthur. We'll be talking to you again a bit later. But now to the action this afternoon, and the first semi-final, which we recorded a little while ago. Stan Frith as I say, the favourite, playing Ian Rigby. We join it at the 7th end with the score 12-5, and that means that Ian Rigby has yet to score, because being a handicap, both players start with the score of 5.
Frith sets the mark now. 12-5 in front, past the halfway mark. 21 up this game. Again, another magnificent lead from Frith. Rigby's ball, give up. Frith still on and a mile in front, playing with all the confidence in the world. Really powered one out this time. Gone in the bucket.
It's there for the taking for Rigby, if he can just to bring a little control, judge the distance correctly.
Chances, chances. Can he stop yet? Just gone by again. Had no luck at all, this number 3, Rigby. All the rub's gone away.
How on earth is Rigby going to shake Stan Frith out of this sequence? 8 ends played. Frith there in the pale blue pullover has won every one. 13-5 the score, 21. First one to 21 wins it.
Another one here. They're arriving regular as the trains in Blackpool Station. He's planted another one round the jack. Up. He's far enough. Can he rub that ball? He's just gone by again and in the ditch. Had to be far enough, Rigby. Frith stood one on the jack there, and the next one coming down again. Far enough. Gone off the green. 2 more to Frith. Richard, how's this man going to shake Frith out of this marvellous run? Long raking marks. He's planted the balls round the jack. The crowd now are more or less waiting in anticipation for Rigby to break his duck and get a chalk.
Now that's going to make it interesting. We only had 2 on the green at the end of the last end. Let's see what happens now.
I think if somebody had have sneezed there, Richard, the jack would have gone off. Put it as close as he could to the edge of the green. Certainly far enough this time. Run on a little bit more. Really cracking ball on that mark.
Yes, under the circumstances, that was brave wood from Stan Frith. There's Rigby.
Oh And again, hard. It can win this ball if it stops on. It's gone now.
So can Frith leave 2 woods on the green? Quite an achievement just to do that. No doubt about that one, it's going to fall short. So taking no chances, Stan Frith.
Rigby's ball doing the trick. Can he reach? Run on. And again. Could break his duck with this one. Can he miss Frith's ball? He's banged it again. Oh, how this man suffered with rubs and bangs.
Ian Rigby there has not played badly, but he's had no luck whatsoever.
Game Frith. Frith slowly creeping the full trip in these corners. Started about 65 yards. Now he's putting the jack about 2 foot from the edge of the green. Remarkable. Remarkable placing of the jack. Making Rigby's task even more difficult. To be far enough. Runaway ball, it's gone on the top side. And again, it's in the ditch. Well, this young man, Rigby, 21 years of age, he's got to be far enough. He's trying to break his duck. 16-5 at the back. Run clear, and then he's run into Frith again. Unbelievable.
Well, just a huge margin of error now for Stan Frith. The score 18-5. There really hasn't been the slightest doubt about where Stan Frith was going to lead the jack throughout this game. He's taken it corner to corner over the same track all the time.
And the important thing, Richard, led some brilliant balls. Stitched it up really tight, played some magnificent stuff in these corners. Just leaving them a little bit short now.
When Rigby bowls there, you can almost feel the crowd willing him to win an end.
It's gone a long way. Almost gone. Rigby inquiring there. Most of the crowd already tipping the short ball to be counting. There's Rigby now trying to break his duck. Still not scored. Not to be far enough. Here's the one on the card. Big cheer now. Got his first chalk. The crowd there rising after a terrible run.
Well, I don't think there'll be much doubt about the outcome of this particular semi-final, but at least Ian Rigby won't disgrace himself. He's not had any luck at all. Wins his first end in the unusual position of being able to lead the jack. And as we could have predicted, now that Rigby's setting the mark, the land's going to change. He's coming across the middle of the green. Still quite a long mark.
Led one roundabout, Rigby. Number 3, just opened his account. Led the ball about the big yard over. Frith may beat this. Great control, this lad. Here's one. Can he get down the hill? Could have packed up. Very, very even, those woods. Looking to improve, and the crowd already condemning this ball. They think it's short, but it'll win the end. And again, and again. Good ball. Chances, chances, chances on the jack. Brilliant ball from Frith. Wonderful wood there from Stan Frith.
Frith getting back after a brief pause. Takes him on to 18. Ian Rigby, 19, I'm sorry, Stan Frith. Ian Rigby on 6. Back into the corner, Stan Frith. That could have been predicted. First wood goes past. There's plenty of room for Ian Rigby to go in there. Looks good.
Can Frith do it again with his second ball? It's short, packed up. Very unlike Frith. Very unlike Frith not to reach up with that ball, but still he's got a good margin of shorts to play with. Now Rigby looking for a double. Well, he got through without knocking Frith in, and Richard, he's been doing that nearly all the game.
Must do something for Ian Rigby's confidence, counting a double, but trailing 19-8.
Rigby altered the land now, come down the middle of the green and played a ball just round about 2 foot, almost to dead length. Stan Frith of Northwich and Cheshire looking for a double for victory. Play short, lost his length a little bit now, Richard Frith, since Rigby altered the land. We might get a bit of a fresh game here. And again, down the hill, fair ball. Can Frith do this marvellous second wood act? Brilliant second wood player. On the bottom side, misses the jack, he can go.
And how about that? Ian Rigby slipping in a double for himself, surely. Claimed it. That's right, so the gap, still a big gap, but it narrows. 19 Frith, 10 Rigby. And Rigby's going to take Stan Frith all over this green to places he's not seen before to try and break him out of his rhythm.
Just a big yard by. One time, I think Rigby thought he was never going to get hold of the Jack Richard, never mind send it out. But now he's mending a little, playing quite well.
The crowd telling Frith to get on with it.
Played the winner. 2 foot by, that's Frith counting in blue, and Rigby sends the second ball at this end. Oh, the crowd have condemned this. No, it's short. Bad ball.
Means that Stan Frith could be through to the final with this wood. If he gets it in to count a double, it'll be all over.
He's not one to miss these sort of chances. Listen to the applause. Here's Frith now with a double and weighs in 21-10 over Ian Rigby of Preston.
So there it is. What an unfortunate game for Ian Rigby. Never really able to get into it. Took him a long, long time just to win an end. The youngest man in the finals, 21 years old, goes out to the man who is today's favourite, the favourite to win the Waterloo this year, Stan Frith. That match recorded just a little while earlier, and now you're back live in Blackpool for the second semi-final. As you can see from the caption, it's between Barry Collinge. Barry Collinge, 28-year-old electrician from Milnrow, and he's playing Barry Henstead, 36, and he's from Pemberton near Wigan. The game in progress. And that playing the wood there in the darker pullover is Barry Collinge. He's trailing at the moment. The score 7 to Collinge and 12 to Henstead. Hope there'll be no confusion over the two Barrys, but the man who played that final wood of this end was Barry Henstead. The man who's leading, there he is. Could be some dispute about who's closest. Barry Henstead joining Collinge at the far end to examine the position. Will they decide between them? First of all, they'll try and reach a gentleman's agreement. What they're going to measure.
Well, the measure is just deciding this end, but this match with Henstead being the major factor. Started out in grand style and went away from Collinge. 11-6, 12-7, and now Collinge has just come back and pegged the end. It's bring score now to Collinge 9, Henstead 12.
So a good point at which to join this match with Collinge just pulling back with the double. And there's a good lead from Collinge.
Henstead looking there to beat a good lead from Collinge. Again, is not happy. Collinge asking for information, and Henstead has gone away up the other end. There he is, Henstead having a look, and there's no doubt that the front ball is on. Collinge now got it to do. far enough. The crowd asking this ball to miss all. They think it's too far and it goes sailing by. Collinge having the damage, circling round the back, foot down, trying to judge the distance and see who's in. He conceded the end to Barry Henstead.
I think a good point at which we might ask Arthur Murray about what he makes of the semi-final so far. I think perhaps that first semi-final, Arthur, would have disappointed some people.
Yes, I'm sure that most people feel rather disappointed with the first semi-final. Stan got what we call a flyer in the game and never really looked in any danger. A very disappointing final, but I'm sure Stan Frith won't complain.
Now, what about this one, about Collinge and Henstead? This is shaping up to be a good game.
Yes, I'm sure this is going to be a good game before it's over, because both players have won previous games quite easy. This Collinge, you know, he's not known on the bowling circuit, but all my bowling colleagues from round Rochdale assure me that he's quite a good player.
But Henstead, the man from Wigan, in front at the moment, do you fancy him for the final?
Well, Barry, you know, in my opinion, he's come on 5 chalks in 21 in the last 2 years, so my tip is Barry Henstead to play Stan in the final.
Thanks very much, Arthur.
Collinge looks quite determined here, Richard, doesn't he? Good glower down at that end. Knows he's got to be far enough. Reaching up and again, and he mishauled, gone out and off the green. 2 to Henstead. Really going away now, Henstead.
Barry Henstead 15, Barry Collinge 9. 2 from that end to Henstead.
Henstead, big swing, arm up at the back, big follow through, but gets them away as sweet as a nut. Playing about 50 yards now out of the corners, and plays a very, very good ball indeed. To Collinge there, sends to wood. It must look as though those jack and ball almost nailed together. Got to lick them. Played far enough. Just drifting by slowly and going out. Oh, the crowd really bubbling away now. They realise this one's a real rambler.
And the no ball from Collinge doesn't bother Barry Henstead at all. He's on to 16, Collinge on 9. That's a good picture of how far the bowlers have to cover, and you can see that the bias and the crown is taking the jack more or less out of the picture.
Henstead hanging on. Just a little short. Collinge now in with a bit of a squeak here. Got just a little room to work in. Beautiful delivery, Henstead gets them away really smooth. Lovely swing, this one doing the trip. Peg down. Wins it certain. To the crowd, can he hit the ball? He's knocked it in for two. Another bad rub there for Collinge. 2 to Henstead.
And that puts Barry Henstead in a very commanding position indeed. He's on 18. Remember, the first two 21. Goes through to the final. Barry Collinge trailing back on 9. Henstead surely now imagining himself, anticipating a place in the final. His 3 chalks will take him there.
Well, you can't blame him for being a bit confident, Richard, now, because he's a mile in front. But he's just played a real rambling ball about 3 yards away from the jack at dead length. Must give Collinge some sort of hope for recovery. And he steps in with a really good one. Applause from the crowd.
Barry Collinge certain to count at this end. Henstead no longer in contention here.
Collinge on his way up to the end, hoping it's good news for a double. But Henstead not made any real signs about conceding the end. He thinks there's only one. He wants to string Collinge, not happy with the decision. Need all the string here. It's a long, long way. Come down, it measured. Only one to Collinge.
So he'll be grateful for anything that he can get. At this stage of the game, 10. Henstead on 18. Barry Collinge setting the mark. You tend to wonder, Arthur, with such a big gap opening up, whether or not what goes through a bowler's mind. I mean, will he be writing the game off, Barry Collinge? Surely not.
Oh no, I'm sure, Richard. You know, this is the lad who came back yesterday when everyone had him out with facing Len Higginbottom, who was the favourite for this Waterloo in 1983, and he came back from, what was it, 18-13 and beat Len 21-19. So, you know, we mustn't write this lad off by any means. This could probably be the comeback for him. I think he's lying 2 at the moment. So let's hope that this is the fight back. We mustn't ride him off, not by any means yet. It's the old story in this bowling game. Game's never over until it's won.
So that's 1 to Collinge, and as you say, certainly not over.
No, not by any means.
Collinge, 11-18.
Collinge is really fighting on the beaches. 11-18 in arrears and looking for some really good balls. Trying some fresh territory. Cuts the green right down the middle, shortening Henstead up a little on length. Played a good ball here, runs down, close to the jack. Listen, just a touch. Beautiful lead. Certainly roundabout, won't be a mile away, this ball. Almost wins it. Oh, a brilliant wood, but I think it's fell out. I think Collinge is still on. Cracking in there, 2 perfect balls. Be careful, Collinge. Don't charge into the end. Don't charge. Just gone away. Very interesting here. Watch this ball now from Henstead. They've got to be far enough. Played at the end, hoping for a lucky bang. Gone out. 1 to Collinge.
So the revival goes on, Barry Collinge. Certainly not giving anything away now.
Collinge, 12-18.
Right, Richard, the revival is on by all means. As Arthur Murray commented, you know, you never give up at this game. Some remarkable feats at balls from way, way back. While you're on the green, you've still a chance of winning. This man now led another good one. Found his length immediately on this mark. Henstead now got to find a really good ball. Crowd tipping this, they think it's in with a squeak. Clapping. Looks like the winner. Far enough again, Collinge. Listen for the bang. Can he get him out? He's done it. Brilliant ball there from Collinge, number 6. Clipped away the winner from Henstead. Oh, they're tipping this ball off a road. There's all kinds wrong with it. It's whipped away. Doesn't take any part in the end. 1 more to Collinge.
Very hard won and very well deserved indeed for Barry Collinge. Led a marvellous wood, saw it beaten, and then he was able to knock it out of the way. 13 Collinge, 18 Henstead. Yeah, 2. Things aren't always what they seem. Barry Collinge certainly knew what it was. He insisted on the 2. He was quite right. There's a slight revision in the score. Bring a smile to Collinge's face. 14, Henstead 18.
Yes, he stood his ground there, Collinge, and insisted he had 2, and Henstead gave consent, and now he's led another really good ball. Great fight back from this man, Collinge. Found a real fertile piece of territory here, just right across the middle of the green. But Henstead still nagging away, playing good stuff. appealing for some information there, Barry Henstead. Here's the referee, Ken Alcock, giving them some advice. And he thinks that Henstead's ball's in. Played at the end, Collinge, far enough. Looking for the ball, can he clip the side ball? Gone out. Went past his own ball there. Now Henstead looking for a double. The crowd tipping it to get another. Only one.
The one puts Henstead on to 19. Just within 2 of a place in the final now. Having effectively stopped the little charge that Barry Collinge was putting together. Remember, a double here for Henstead would clinch it.
Henstead looking for a good lead there. He's only 2 chalks off reaching the final and plays a real no ball. Collinge is motoring as well, goes past 4 foot. 2 wayward balls. Pressure's coming through a little bit now to the players. Henstead desperately trying to find a good ball and does so. Played one about 2 foot short of the jack. Listen to the crowd, good barometer, the crowd. Listen to them humming now. They think this is in with the squeak. Umbrella up and 1 to Collinge.
So Collinge there certainly not going to give in. He's counting 1, takes him on to 15. His opponent, Barry Henstead, on 19, wanting a double for the final. Barry Collinge is the jack. To him, the advantage.
In with some sort of a match here, Richard. If Collinge makes a good lead here, only 4 chalks adrift now, 15-19 at the back. Looking for a good lead to put some more pressure onto Barry Henstead. Leaves a little bit of room. Crowd again, good forecasters. Ooh and ah this way to victory for Henstead, perhaps. Might have just gone. That's Eric Sweet, the measurer, nipped on and gave Collinge the good news. He fancies the front ball. Collinge now in full flight. Be far enough, still running. Tapped his own. 2 vital chalks these for Collinge. If he can get them on the card, he's within striking distance. Certainly far enough. Henstead pegs a length, it wins. In with a squeak. Collinge now looking at the end, wondering what he's going to get out of it. Taking 1 out, it's no chance. No messing. Henstead concedes the end.
So Barry Henstead still held back, still has to wait for that place in the final that a little while ago looked certain to be his.
Can Collinge a good lead? Another piece of land that he played with great profit in the earlier rounds. Gone out. Oh, shouts of run again and run again. It's beginning to wobble a little now. Give up. Henstead looking for a winner. Looking for a winner. Can he miss that ball? He's knocked him a double. Oh, real bad bang there. He's got a double, Collinge.
Yes, they're the men with the financial interest in what's going on there. They're the bookmakers. And I think there was a lot of money on Barry Henstead at the start of this game. What's it doing to that? Because Collinge is still there. Look at that, 18-19.
This has developed into a tremendous match, Richard. This man's come back from nowhere, now putting Henstead under terrific pressure. Crowd again tipping this to be in with some sort of a chance to be a fair lead. Oh, he's gone through the gap, Henstead, and out. Again, they're asking from assistance.
Well, this is a terrific fight back by Barry Collinge, certainly, at this crucial point of the game. I know you were saying earlier, Arthur, that he's got a record for it, hasn't he?
Yes, Richard, again, you know, this lad's proving what we've been saying since Saturday. He's coming from behind every game, and here he is, lying 18-19, a wood running. Oh, Henstead's pulled out there, a great wood. A line now all but 20-18.
So the scene set for a tremendous finish of the second semi-final. Beautifully balanced. 20 to Henstead, 18 to the man who's come back from nowhere, Barry Collinge.
Well, that was a brilliant ball from Henstead. Brought back the frowns to the bookies' faces. As I think Henstead has been quite well backed here. Put a few wrinkles back on the bookies' foreheads, that ball there from Henstead. Motoring with this ball. Long way over when it's finished. Not a good lead. Collinge again in with some sort of a squeak to get in after the tremendous fight back he's made. Oh, another wayward ball. Again, the pressure's really showing now. Both players within sight of a place in the final, now spreading them. Found one roundabout. Good in this. Gets him in the final if it doesn't get licked. There's Henstead wondering if will it be enough. And this is the one from Collinge now. That says everything. Pegs hard, trying to get it out, and it's gone by. Henstead won and into the final, 21-18. Really marvellous semi-final there. Great fight back from Collinge. Came from nowhere, 18-11 at the back, close to within 2 chalks of Henstead, and then Henstead found a marvellous winner. Collinge again reaching up, just going round the back. But the man that got through was Barry Henstead, the lad from Pemberton in Wigan, a 36-year-old service engineer, plays with Alexander.
Well, Harry, yes, what a great game that was, wasn't it? What a fight back by Collinge, but just failing at the final hurdle, 21-18. I think we've got a great final in store now with Frith, the favourite from Cheshire, my county colleague, and this great bowler from Wigan who, in my opinion, has come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. I think we're in for a great final.
Well, the bookmakers here today have had the fortunes up and down. They keep telling you that everyone's a loser for them. Henstead pulled out a wizard ball there that brought the frowns back on the bookies' faces. There's one leaning, and no doubt Henstead might have been a bad one for him. Counting all the money out, but most of it will go in their pockets, I think. There won't be many punters queuing up for that at the end.
So there it is, the final of the 75th Waterloo will begin in about 20 or 25 minutes' time. It'll be between Stan Frith, who is the favourite at the moment, and as you've just seen, a dramatic finish to the second semi-final, the victor Barry Henstead. Well, we've said that the Waterloo is the most prestigious, the premier event in Crown Green bowling, of course, but there is another form of bowling in this country as well, as I'm sure lots and lots of people know that you've seen it. That is bowling that's played on a flat green. There are some people who say it's even better than Crown Green bowling. Now, this is a unique occasion here today because we have with us the president-elect of the English Bowling Association. That's the flat version of bowls. Fred Taylor. Fred, welcome to Blackpool.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, have you?
It's been marvellous up to now, yeah. Absolutely.
Why haven't you top people from the flat game been here before?
Well, we don't any bar on them. It just so happens that Jimmy Davidson, the world selected, has got a meeting in Preston on Friday, invited me to come and enjoy the day, and I'm pleased he did because although this is a different kind of bowls, it's a different skill. You're having to find new ground all the time. I've enjoyed it immensely. What
do you make of the quality of the bowling that you've seen?
Well, look, you know, it's the first time I've ever been here. It's the first time I've seen Crown Green bowls. I'm amazed that they can find a way around the green when they're bowling over the crown. And when we play our game, we're playing on a select rink. You have to find that all the time. These lads have to find a new way down every time somebody wins an end. I find that amazing.
Well, it's very good to see you here, Fred. As I say, it's a unique occasion, and I suppose it's doubly unique because, of course, we also have the president of the British Crown Green Bowling Association. That's Jack Utley. Now, Jack, I imagine you're quite proud to display this game to somebody from the opposite code, are you?
Well, to me, it's a great occasion, Richard. I mean, to have the president-elect of the flat green at the premier tournament in Crown Green bowls, I mean, it's unique, isn't it? And I think this is all for the good of the game, that we all get together to foster it. I think it's marvellous.
Now, Fred's been talking about how much he's enjoyed watching this, although perhaps he doesn't see it that often. How much do you see of a flat bowl?
Oh, every time it's on television, Richard. I mean, to me, it's a great sport, and it's unique in its own class. I mean, I have nothing against flat green at all. I think it's marvellous. I mean, to watch these gentlemen in the whites, all dressed alike, I mean, this is something that probably we could learn something from, and for both codes to come together, I think it's nothing but can do good for everyone.
I know that people who watch either game argue long and fiercely about which game demands the greatest skill. I mean, do people like yourselves argue about that, or do you take a more liberal view of it?
Well, you'll get this on the clubs, you know, and I mean, I must confess that Crown Green bowlers say that Crown Green is a more skillful game. And probably, I mean, we are a little bit unique, that we don't get many flat green bowlers coming into our game.
Yes. I know that Jack was talking a little bit there about the style that flat has, that people wear the whites, they look smart. I mean, is that something that you make a contrast with the Crown Green?
Well, it's a regulation to our game that we wear whites in all our competitions. I don't think it makes that, you know, it keeps everybody equal within the game. But the greatest difference, of course, is that if you come here today, we've got about 4,000 spectators at Worthing when we hold our national championship. I can honestly say that the 4,000 spectators who are here today are more informed than our 4,000. They were enjoying the bowls, where these lads are all very, very keen and very interested. It's a totally different atmosphere at Lower game, really.
I know that, of course, the different competitors, the people who play crown green bowls, people who play flat bowls, they do occasionally meet, of course, in competitions, don't they?
Well, they're going to meet in Preston in November indoor, where the 4 crown green bowlers are going to meet with 28 of our flat green bowlers, and that'll be the first time they've met in international competition. You're going to have the 32, and that's going to be where we're all going to get together at last. But we're all playing bowls. This is just in my view, a different skill, a different kind of bowls. But at the end of the day, we're all bowlers. Why we haven't got together before now?
And that tournament at Preston, by the way, is one that we happily can see on BBC television. Yeah. So we can see how the crown green men go on against the flat. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. If the final's anything like last year's, it'll be quite spectacular, won't it?
Thank you very much indeed.
Totally fine.
Thank you very much.
OK, well, let's look back, because the Waterloo does, of course, bring some quite remarkable finals. And last year's was perhaps one of the classics of all time. It brought together 2 very eminent players, Ken Strutt. He was playing Dennis Mercer. It was a close game all the way through. We joined it quite late in the game. The score there is Strutt 20 and Dennis Mercer 17.
Strutt's ball certainly looked as though it had gone in there, Richard, didn't it? It curled round Mercer's wood but fell down.
And certainly he thought so, but I think perhaps in his excitement he was a little over-generous to himself. Dennis Mercer was detached almost as he looked. Made his mind up that it wasn't in.
Oh, not slipped up as he hit the jack, played one. This has been a terrific match. These players have had to work very, very hard for the chalks they've had. Mercer looking for a good ball. Listen, the crowd roaring. Can he do it? Oh, he's just missed it and gone out. Strutt here doing everything right now, leading a good wood. Mercer just going through. Strutt thinking he's going to get the Waterloo title and the £2,000 that goes with it. And Mercer now, all sorts of problems for Mercer. He's got to be far enough. Got to count this end, or the title goes to Ken Strutt from Diggle near Oldham. Card nailer by trade, and it looks as though he may have nailed Mercer's. Watch Strutt, watch him, watch him. He's played and won, Mercer. Oh. What a great man. Balls. Defeat staring him in the face. 2 wonderful balls to beat, and Strutt can't believe it. He's still having a look at them. He's having Mercer quite emphatic.
Now it's Ken Strutt's turn.
The crowd really bubbling away now because they're waiting for the measures to come.
There's no doubt, really, Harry. I think Dennis Mercer has got one. The game's going to go on, isn't it? Surely.
They're measuring the ball belonging to Ken Strutt first. Now they're coming onto the Mercer wood. Yes, no doubt. 1 to Mercer, only just. Very close.
And there it is. Dennis Mercer, 18. Ken Strutt, 20. Dennis Mercer, he's got the jack. An absolutely sensational end to this Waterloo handicap this year.
Well, they just can't get this game over, Richard. Strutt has done things, you know, that would normally win any championship, but this man Mercer again keeps digging balls out of the magic box. He's just pulled one out there that was a super wood. And now he has actually a chance of victory. Counts this end and goes back and counts a double at the next. Strutt will be left with the runner-up spot after looking the winner. Brilliant ball. This man Strutt, quite implacable. Playing some terrific stuff now. Can he peg and run? Looks to be too far. Round the back. Mercer now counts a double. Round the back. Strutt got a count this end, or it's 20 all. Remarkable finish in prospect here. He's got a run. Got a run, he might save one. Almost left a double. Mercer's put his hands up and levelled the match. 20 across. But he's got to get the consent of Strutt, who's now arriving at the end. Had a look and conceded. 20 across.
20 all.
Well, that was what a nice gesture there from Dennis. Shook hands with Ken Strutt before it was like the final round at the World Championship of boxing match. Mercer in the bottom corner, and the crowd really showing their appreciation of some great bowling.
So this is it. And Dennis Mercer in the very happy position, taking the lead.
And he's in a good spot too, Rich, and he's going to go a long way with this Jack. And his favourite mark.
Let's hope he keeps it on the green.
Got to be stopping. It's Jack running on again and again.
Yes.
Mercer really needs a good lead on this mark. It's a great searing 68, 70 yards. Play it short. Well, a bad lead, really. Strutt must be relieved to see that ball stagger about and die short as a carrot. Strutt's got after this ball. He sent it on, but he's got to run down the hill and urged on there by a lady supporter. He's finished 4 foot short. Mercer down after it. Look at Strutt watching this ball like a cat watching a mouse. He's got to miss his own ball to win. He's won off it. Oh, he's glanced. Oh, Mercer had a remarkable piece of luck there. He's thanking God Almighty, he should do. Strutt. Mercer. Strutt walking back, can't believe that, a cruel rub there. Cast off the table leg and onto the Jack. Oh.
Get off that green, please.
Mercer daren't face it, looking away. Now here's Strutt, what a lonely spot there on the mat. He's got a footwood to beat. Can't afford, he struck at the end. He's gone out, weighed in. Mercer's won the Waterloo after a magnificent final with Ken Strutt, 21-20. Brilliant performance from Mercer. Out of this game 3 and 4 times, and then back in. Everybody wants to congratulate this man. Truly great player and taking part in a wonderful final.
Now, Dennis Mercer, the victor in one of the most sensational, one of the most exciting, dramatic Waterloo handicap finals that surely many of these 5,000 people here have ever witnessed, Harry.
Well, it's magnificent.
And I'm sure you will all agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, a worthy winner, Dennis Mercer of Stockport.
Mr. Percival will be accompanied by Mr. Alan Whitehead, the General Manager of the Retail Division of Greenall Whitley, for this presentation.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen, please.
Dennis Mercer, the man who's looked grim for most of the afternoon, smiles in complete satisfaction now.
And there it is, a splendid close-up of the most famous pipe in Crown Green bowling, Dennis Mercer. You could get gored by that pipe if you're not careful, couldn't you, Dennis?
Not really. Mascot.
Can you play bowls without it?
Well, I think the best way to put it across to people, I think smoking more or less with a pipe anyway, soothes away the tensions that I think big match play brings in. And anything that you can take the tension, or nerves, or whatever the people call it, you're on a winner.
Well, it certainly worked in last year's final. I mean, I shouldn't think you want to play too many games as tense and as close as that, would you?
Not really. I think once of those, it happens once in a lifetime. You know, to win the Waterloo, I think it's more or less a one-off. I know people have done it twice. It's unbelievable. Win it once is bad enough, or hard enough. To win it two is out of this world.
Well, that's enough of the praise. Now, look, what happened to you this year?
Well, this is the Waterloo. This is why it's got that magic touch about it. No matter who you are, if it's your day, and God willing, which it was with me last year, I must admit, anybody can win. When an 81-year-old can come to the final day and very near pull it off, give scope for everybody that plays balls.
Yeah, you didn't get beyond the second round this year, though, did you?
Quite true. Yeah. I had my day last year. Hopefully, I'll be here next year.
I hope it was nothing to do with the change of headgear, was it? This rather natty straw hat that you've got here.
No, not really, no. Oh, I think this is the magic of the Waterloo. You never know just how far you're going to go one year to the next.
Well, of course, Arthur Murray's still with us. You mentioned winning it once and twice. Well, Arthur Murray has, of course, won it twice. Is it easier to win it again? It's not, is it? Because, I mean, only 3 people have ever done it.
No, it's not easier. It's, as Dennis says, I think it's all in the lap of the gods, Richard, you know. It's such a unique competition, you know, everything's really got to go your way. You've got to be having all the rubs that the good Lord up there's passing your way, and everything's just got to go for you.
We've seen something of that this afternoon, that first semi-final, when somebody really was very unlucky, wasn't it?
Exactly. It's just a matter of it's your day, as Dennis says, you'll win. If your name's on it, you'll win it.
OK, well, let's have a look at the final now. We've got Stan Frith, and he's playing Barry Henstead. Now, I know that you were talking a little earlier about Barry Henstead. He's obviously a bowler you rate, but how do you compare him with Stan Frith?
Well, Stan, of course, you know, he's a lad oozing with class. You know, what is it, 2-3 weeks ago he won the All England Championships, and having played with Stan in the Cheshire team for the last 20 years, he's got the killer touch, and he's one hell of a player, is Stan Frith. Yeah,
and I think Dennis said, do you see anything significant in the fact that I think both men were successful in their semi-finals by playing fairly long marks into the corners?
Well, I think the Waterloo is a corner players. Well, it's the best weapon. I think anybody will have a win in the Waterloo is in the corners. I think if you start fiddling about on the shorter marks, as Arthur agrees, they're easily knocked off. Now, corners, it's got to be an expert bowler to do the same job. And I think this is why most people now seem to lean more to play the corners at the Waterloo.
Yes, the finalists, or at least one of the finalists, has emerged onto the green. That's Barry Henstead, the lad from Wigan. Now, he's had an interesting competition, surely. I mean, do you fancy his chances at all, Dennis?
I think everybody, you know, nerves are going to come into play now. I think most of them will be very nervous. Now, really, it depends who settles down the quickest, I think. I think it's going to be quite a good, hard game, a good struggle.
And they're joined, Barry Henstead's been joined by Stan Frith. There is the handshake between the two finalists for the 75th final of the Waterloo Handicap. Stan Frith versus Barry Henstead. The commentator is Harry Rigby.
Yeah, we're in for the final. Stan Frith, Barry Henstead playing this 75th final of the Waterloo Handicap. Barry Henstead, the lad from Pemberton in Wigan, leads the jack. Sets the first mark. Henstead very much the second favourite here. The betting men, the bookies, have really gone mad on Frith. Henstead again makes a bad lead at the first end. Stan Frith of Northwich in Cheshire, looking to win his first ever Waterloo title. But he's got to get rid of Henstead first. Won it. Pick it up, he makes two. He certainly got one out of it. Frith now getting settled down on the mat. There's Henstead, hoping that Frith doesn't produce a winner. Oh, dummy run there from Frith. Somebody just balked him, sending the ball down again. Give up. Henstead opens the account with just a single.
Stan Frith, who fails to score at the first end. Barry Henstead, first blood, just a single. The bookmakers, their favourite is Stan Frith, the man who was trailing just by that single chalk at the moment, 6-5. Barry Henstead setting the mark. Just a couple of feet short. Right on the road.
Frith again left it short. Not like Frith at all. He's shaking his head. Doesn't want to let this man Henstead get too many in front. Player Henstead getting very involved now, getting after these woods and waving them on. Shaking his head, not happy with it. Gone out. Henstead having a look for a double. Frith going well back, second quarter of looking over. Two measurers, Eric Street, Ken Alcock, soon know. Two to Henstead. Made a great start here. Frith struggling a little early on.
Well, that certainly is a good start by Barry Henstead. Whose confidence and power are good.
Richard, it's interesting to notice the way that Henstead's tackled this match. After Frith's murdered everybody in the corners, what's he done? He's cut the green right down now. They're playing about 25, 28 yards. Frith inside to win.
Well, it could work out to be a dangerous thing to do, though, Harry. I mean, obviously, Henstead must figure that Stan Frith is better, is more dangerous over the long marks into the corner. If Stan Frith gets hold of the jack, that's where he'll be going, isn't it?
Yes, but it's Hobson's choice, really, Richard. He get a state burial if Frith gets him in the corners. He's elected to try this tactical move. It's paid off so far, but Frith now stands with one on.
Well, the crowd don't like that at all. It's going to finish well short, but Stan Frith is in anyway with just a single one. Counts his first chalk. Stan Frith 6, Barry Henstead on 8.
So let's see where Stan Frith puts it. Is there really any doubt?
He'll go to his old territory here. Frith, gone a long way now, looking for some good leads. I think it's worth recalling Dennis Mercer's comments, Richard, about the nerves. The early rounds, 1 or 2 wayward balls been played, but they've settled down now. Henstead with a good ball to beat. Just goes out. Frith back on his favourite patch. Lies a double. Listen, the crowd bubbling away. Frith around there, signalling two.
Well, that's an ominous sign if Stan Frith really does count a double at this end.
There's the Sheriff of Failsworth, Lenlon, escorted with his 2 deputies in front, the gentleman from the police. Again, Richard, the crowd, the tipsters here. As soon as a ball is anything like short, let them know. Run the jack and counted, it would have gone by a little bit, but not much. Frith's ball on the way. And the crowd saying short, short, short. It's nowhere near. Henstead with a great chance of pegging a double. Crowd already tipping this to be second. Frith kicking the hand in, 2 to Henstead.
Well, that's a good end for Henstead, and poor old Stan Frith suffering a certain amount of derision from the crowd, for leaving a couple well short on what's obviously his favourite mark. That gives the jack to Barry Henstead, who comes across the end of the green.
Again, Henstead in no doubt as to where his future lies, shutting the game down. Again, about 30 yards across the green, away from the corners. Played one around a length, didn't like it, but it's not bad. Wins it. Step ball here, certainly far enough to win. Got to run a little bit. That's drawn it. In with a chance, clear running in with a chance. He runs bang into the ball, 1 to Henstead.
So a certain amount of good fortune for Barry Henstead, yes. That takes him on to 11. And the man who was favourite, Stan Frith, on 8. Arthur Murray, what do you make of it so far?
Well, Richard, what is so fascinating to me about this game, prior to coming to the Waterloo, Stan Frith was always recognised and well known as a 25-yard mark bowler. You know, anyone playing Stan, any of us, the first thing we did, we whipped Stan in the corners. What's amazing is he comes to the Waterloo and all he does, he alters his game and he's murdering everyone in the corners. And here we see him struggling on his favourite marks, which I find rather remarkable, really. But I feel sure that, you know, this is going to be a good final.
A pause for Stan Frith. He's Barry Henstead having played the first wood. Stan Frith down now.
Chances, he's done the jack and won the end. Brilliant ball from Frith, smack on a road. Henstead trying to do it again. Got to miss those balls, can he run? Just give up. Frith will have to be exceedingly careful here. There's 2 balls bang in front of the jack. The front one being his. He certainly doesn't want to wrap this ball on the left-hand side. He'll make it. Got to run and counts a double. Brilliant ball.
There's top quality bowling from Stan Frith. Narrows the gap, 10 to Frith, 11 to Henstead. It'll be interesting to see where Stan Frith sends this one to.
Well, Richard relinquished his rights to the opposite territory. Finds some fresh ground here, Frith. Come away from the corner that he's done so well in and played brilliantly. Now he's in the opposite corners of the green. And leads an absolute cracking bowler. Got to peg a little bit, it's a chance. He slips in the bottom now, doesn't win. Got it away, sweet. Still running on nicely, this ball. It's going to be round about 2 foot short of the jack, but bang in the road. Henstead with all sorts of problems to get in at this end. Played through. 100-mile-an-hour job. Got a peg. No chance. A double to Frith.
So for the first time in this Waterloo final, Stan Frith edges in front, 12-11.
What a difference, Richard, that one chalk makes. Frith now taking the advantage. Pressure now off Frith a little bit and back onto Henstead. Frith having a go in the other corners again. Not happy with his stance. A false run again there, snatched it back. Going to be a bit near when it finishes this. Just a bare yard. Good ball, difficult mark. Watch the ball work away now. Not on a road. Slipping away all the time. Frith may well have found a piece of land there that's got Henstead into a little bit of trouble. Just lacked a little bit of pace. Certainly doing the trip. Certainly doing the trip this time with a clear run. Must have a chance. Won it, or gone out, still going. Watch Frith. One to Frith, just gone by and gone out.
Frith playing a long way back into this corner. And there's the bowler's eye view, a good idea of the distance involved. Sometimes it might not look that far, but there you are.
Played one. Real ball. Dead level, about a foot from something like about 65 yards. Right across the crown. Henstead reached up, certainly far enough, could just go out at the finish. Gone. Crowd already tipping this for another. Still running on really well, this ball. Another great ball from Frith, two alike. Applause from the crowd. Oh, they've given this up. I think we could put two on for Frith here without any doubt.
And that's a very significant double for Stan Frith. It takes him on to 15. Quite a significant change in the game. Barry Henstead on 11. Remember, it's the first to 21 who becomes the Waterloo champion for 1983. Stan Frith is making the return journey.
Crowd urging this ball on, it's still short. I think Frith would have liked another good yard in that, and the ball a little bit lower on the road. Henstead in with a squeak now. Only got to stop and it wins. Can he pick the jack up? They run a long way down there now.
Now, Stan Frith was just making sure that his wood was counting. I don't think there's too much doubt about it.
I think this is going to be a fair ball at the finish. Gets a lick off that, be a good one. Stops a dead length. Henstead got to put a decent ball in here, else he's in real trouble. Bit of a chance. Bit of a chance. Stops level, it might win. Still stuck on the bottom. Henstead on his way over. Doesn't know the damage. Frith still looking around. Yes. Henstead counts the end. Henstead a single. 12. Henstead 15. Frith.
Well, I don't know what Stan Frith seemed to be in some doubt about there. I don't think he was really disputing the fact that Barry Henstead counted one, but he was doing some very rough measuring.
Well, Stan won a few medals as a Morris dancer when he was a lad. He just wanted to get that piece in this afternoon. Thought he'd do his little clog dance there, Stan. Do him any harm. Again, not on a road. Leaving tons of room here for Frith, and a man of Frith's calibre I don't think is going to miss this chance. Pressures are still there, he's still got to find it. Crowd have tipped this short, still coming. Not a good ball. Still low down, he'll have to peg, stick on the bottom. He's won it, but they're not good balls. Plenty of room around there. Stick in the bottom. Might just win it on the peg. It's hard to tell. Interesting to watch both players here. Won it, just nicked it there. Lucky rub for him, really.
So there it is, the players agreeing between themselves without any need to measure what was a close end. Stan Frith 16, Barry Henstead 12. The game, since we last spoke, Arthur, turning rather in Frith's favour.
Yes, Richard, I think this is just showing now, you know, both players are beginning to realise how close they are to winning the Waterloo. And, you know, we're seeing one or two woods sprayed about a little bit. You know, and this is still not over. It's, you know, it can be quite an interesting finish to this. Again, it's evidence he stands just not concentrating 100% and spraying it down the right-hand side. Again, the crowds are beginning to roar a little bit, and you know, the nerves are just getting at the players. This is very, very evident. And you know, I still feel that Stan's probably just got that little bit extra, whatever you might call it, to just pull this one off.
OK, let's see how it works out. It's to remind you, Stan Frith is leading 16-12.
Good ball there from Henstead. Counts a single. Again, Henstead can't make a lead to save his life. He's tried to plant one round the jack and went rambling through again. Bit of a near one there from Frith. Henstead making it hard work. Can he get through? Shaved the jack and ball and gone out. Frith steps in smartly there with a good double.
Yes, quick to claim them. A pair of very good woods from Stan Frith. Takes him on to 18. Barry Henstead 13. 21 up. So Stan Frith is poised. This is the fascination of Crown Green Bowls now. He's 3 chalks short of becoming the champion. Could all be over very quickly. But on the other hand, we've seen the calibre of Barry Henstead.
Well, Frith played a bit of a wayward ball there, and he's back in his favourite corner. Just a little bit off the road. Henstead certainly far enough. Got to be stopping if it's going to count. Frith following that ball. Likes it a bit better this time. Just a yard by. Gotta find it. He's got to get the brakes on. Still going. Could have left a double. Frith thinks he's two. Puts his hands up. Takes him to within one chalk of victory if Henstead concedes the end.
It's 2013 to Stan Frith. He just needs one chalk and he becomes the Waterloo champion. The game really from the midway stage slipped away from Barry Henstead.
Frith led a real ball for game. Good long raking corner mark goes finger peg into the corner. Henstead now looking for something to save what looks like a disaster. Gone too far in the ditch. Frith padding along after this ball, Frith. And again, well, he's played a brilliant double here. Henstead has got these to lick, otherwise he's out. And Frith is the champion. Listen to the crowd now. Short. Frith has weighed in. Winner of the Waterloo, beating Barry Henstead of Wigan 21-13 in the final. Congratulations from all quarters of the globe.
And so it's a victory for Stan Smith. It's a victory for Cheshire. He's a Cheshire County player, their away captain. His first victory in the Waterloo, of course. And you can see how delighted he is. Turned in the end to be a smooth victory over Barry Henstead, the 36-year-old from Pemberton near Wigan. And now, as usual, the crowd surge onto the turf at the Waterloo. Got plenty of admirers, Stan Frith now. Has to shake hands with everybody. Let's hope he's got enough strength left to hold the Waterloo trophy. We don't want too many big and damaging feet on the grass here at the Waterloo, because of course there's another big event on Saturday, which is the Champions Trophy, which is broadcast during Grandstand on BBC One. So that green needs to stay in reasonably good condition.
Yeah, there's a former champion, Nicholson, just been up to shake hands with Frith. There's a former runner-up, Brian Proles. Nicholson beat him in the final. Jimmy Cullen, a former winner. Still milling around, and congratulations coming in thick and fast. Got a crowd now all lined up, ready for the presentation.
The first quarter finalist, Collinge and £200.
Now these are the awards presented to the quarter finalists in this year's Waterloo Championship. the awards, the quarter-finals being presented by the Lady Mayor of Blackpool. I believe that's rather more correct than saying the Mayoress of Blackpool. That's Councillor Mrs. Marjorie Hoggard. Well-earned cheques to the quarter-finalists.
Yes, says Keith Illingworth, a former Waterloo winner in the famous splashdown final.
And the wonderful old man of the party is Mr. Rigby Escort.
And it's understandably a big round of applause for Ricky Escombe, the oldest man ever to appear in the final stages of the Waterloo. There he is, 81 years of age, lives not far away in Lytham, a retired farmer. I'm sure he's had a delightful championship.
Yes, he told me he only came to kiss the Lady Mayoress.
Semi-finalist and a cheque for £500, Ian Rigby.
By a nice contrast, here's young Ian Rigby, only 21. Follows the 81-year-old up to collect his award.
The other losing semi-finalist, Mr. Barry Collinge, and a cheque for £500.
Yes, another man here put a really good show up today. Barry Collinge lives at Milnrow.
Now to the runner-up in the 1983 Waterloo tournament, Barry Henstead of Wigan, and the cheque for £1,000.
Here's the runner-up, Barry Henstead. One time looked as though he was in with some sort of a chance, but he went under at the finish to some great bowling.
Almost couldn't get through the crowd, but the runners-up prize and the runners-up trophy is presented by Mr. Derek Bell, who's the Tide sales manager for Greenall Whitley. £1,000 better off, Barry Henstead.
This wonderful trophy and the cheque for £2,000. Frith of Waverloo.
Oh, here's Frith now. Very, very popular winner indeed. The only man to have done a double, the British champion and the Waterloo champion in the same year. Stan Frith of Northwich in Cheshire. There's a happy man with the trophy and the cheque.
Certainly is a remarkable achievement, Harry, by Stan Frith, isn't it? To be the champion and to take the Waterloo all in the same year. As you say, it's never been done before. He's certainly entitled to smile.
Let's hope he doesn't fail to get his little peck off the Mayoress as well as a bonus. So the pinnacle of any Crown Green bowler's career achieved by Stan Frith, the Waterloo champion for 1983. And the highlights of this year's Waterloo will be on BBC Two at 7:35 this evening. From Blackpool, a very good afternoon to you.